Castle Torgeath is a dungeon-crawling, sword-swinging adventure game that tries to give off a creepy atmosphere and spooky surroundings, but where it has strength in some areas, it greatly lacks or flounders in others.
Story.
The story is purely conveyed through the opening text at the beginning of the game and the little notes and messages throughout ever onwards. There was a kingdom under siege by a horde of ravenous invaders, and so the king fled with his guards into the impenetrable ruins of Castle Torgeath, an accursed place of skelly-mens and rats of unusual size. Now, years later, an expedition team journeys deep into the ruins below, and you follow them far behind, adventure and loot in sight and mind. Now, for me, the story was the most interesting part of the game, as you have to unravel it by finding notes by different guards and explaining what's actually going on and why the place has fallen into the depths of darkness and despair. But I'll be honest with you, the story is as far as the extent of my praise goes.
Gameplay.
Movement is very slow and clunky as you delve through this dark labyrinth going at a snail's pace. Well, unless you hold the shift key, otherwise you'll just propel forward like a snail's love dart. For the combat system, well, it's very unresponsive, with hits only hitting their mark around half the time. It's like trying to swing your sword through molasses, honestly. And as for the HUD management, you have your HP, MP, and hunger bars. Hunger goes down slowly over time, so you'll need to make sure you're constantly eating, like a land whale at McDonald's. But don't worry, Castle Torgeath floods you with an abundance of fresh food and delicious snacks. Problem is, where food can be found absolutely everywhere, health drops are scattered few and far. So keeping yourself alive would be considered pretty important, right? Well, don't worry, because most of the enemies can actually be defeated just by literally walking circles around them. It's rare that they'll actually ever land a hit on you if you know what you're doing. But as always, be wary to create the odd save point here and there.
Visuals.
The visuals are awful. They're just plain frickin' awful. The main character should not have a model this basic. Like, just look at this sword. Is this what you'd expect a sword to look like? Like, look at it. This is not a sword. This is a sword. This is not a sword. Apart from your character, the enemies are basic models that look pulled from a PS2 game. Set enemies, food, and anything that isn't scenery looks simple and low poly, but the map as a whole is nicely textured, with no real clipping issues to be found.
Stages.
The map is designed to slowly build up difficulty the further you go, introducing new harder enemies and larger numbers of said enemies. Hallways lead on for hours and rooms are full of enemies ready to pounce. They kick up with a musical sting, taking away all surprise and wafting around for a good 6 seconds after the thing's been killed. Thankfully, this game has a decent supply of unique enemies. Big rats, glowing spiders, dogs, etc. But most of my journey tended to be cut short by disgruntled skeletal warriors.
Final thoughts.
Castle Torgeath, call it whatever, Descent into Darkness, as of now, is a boring and slow game. Though the story is interesting enough to follow, the clumpy controls, bad combat, and annoyingly close lighting make this game just not that fun to play. I've no ill will with this game, but I didn't enjoy myself, and why would I recommend it to someone to actually buy it if I didn't like it myself? Castle Torgeath is denied. The game as of now is not up to the quality of similar indie dungeon crawlers in its field. If the game isn't fun, then it becomes a digital slog through levels you don't actually want to play. Being that this game is early access, I understand that it's a work in progress, but if you're selling it as a product, then it'll be judged according to all others in its field. As of now, Castle Torgeath is $4.99 USD, with current user scores sitting at positive. For personal recommendations, I point you to Legends of Grimrock on Steam, as well as Amnesia: The Dark Descent on Steam. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that if you found this review insightful, to like and maybe, just maybe, hit that subscription box for little old me. Comment if you think I may have judged this game too harshly. But as always, feelers and sheelers, I'm Video James, signing out.